Hi, everybody. How's it going? I'm Robert Magnus. I'm the sales manager for Grip and Video here on Manfrotto on the Western US. And I have Tommy Howley, our product manager for the digital director. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about today how this is going to really work in a video sensibility and how the digital director is going to interface for a lot of your needs and where it's going to come in play. The biggest thing that we can talk about is the fact that for $4.99, you're getting a really good monitor, or you're getting an amazing monitor. You're able to save the money you would spend on a bigger piece, such as, I don't know, other brands that are out there. And you can take that, use something you've already got, interface with it. And unlike other monitors, we're gonna offer you the ability to interface with the Canon or Nikon camera more so than you have in the past. So I'll kind of roll it over to Tommy, and we're gonna talk a little bit about back and forth how that's gonna work for you. So Tommy, why don't you go in and show them some about it?
Sure. So as Robert was saying, is great as a monitor. So first, I guess we'll start in the video mode. So it works with photo and video mode. So here in video mode, this is a screen that you can see the iPad right here. And I'll make some adjustments so you can see as I make the adjustments here, ISO, shutter speed, f-stop, it's going to adjust it within the camera itself. So you can see that up there. Also, it has interactive focus. So anywhere I touch on the screen, you can see that little blue circle right here. That is the focus point. So I'll touch on the chair, and you can see the focus point move into the chair there. So that's going to be your focus point. I have the focus peaking turned on right now, so you can see the little red lines in frame. So up here before, where I was controlling the ISO and the key camera parameters, your remote control up here in the right-hand corner, so you can make adjustments. Here's the live view monitor that Robert was talking about, and you can go into full screen if you want. And you can still have the ability to bring up your remote control when you're in full screen. So as you can see, I'm dragging the remote control around here. I'm going to close out of it. You can bring up your histogram, change it to black and white or RGB. And here, down here in the right corner, you have your stop and start recording. So you can see I press start. I can still take still images while recording, and I can use it to stop. And down over here, we have our sound monitoring. And then I'm just going to take you through some additional features in the photo side. So in the photo screen, you still have the same screen that you would have in video. Only difference is the sound now has been removed. And down here in the lower left, you have controls such as your white balance and your drive mode. And you have the ability to share. So with photo, you have the ability to operate your entire workflow. Come over here. So from setting up your shot to taking your shot, editing, and sharing, all from within the iPad. So if I want to shoot the chair, I'm going to focus in on there. I'm going to zoom in just to check my focus points. And I'm going to take the shot. Whoops. You can hear it take it. So now it's going to do two things. It's going to store the images on the memory card and in the iPad itself. So here it's going to download a high-res JPEG. So from here, I can zoom in, check my focus point. I can edit. You can see on the bottom here, there's some edit control options, and I can share it. So if I wanted to send it out, I can upload to FTP, email, or camera roll. So if you're a journalist and you wanted to upload to FTP, if you're out in the field, you could do that right away. If you wanted to email the images, if you just shot a wedding and you're scrolling through the images at the end of the night showing the bride and groom some pictures, you could send them out immediately. Or you could save it to your camera roll so you can go back and view them later, or if you had other editing tools within the iPad you could use. And that's really the biggest difference between the photo and the video. With video, you don't have the ability to download and share from here yet. It's just the iPad just doesn't have the capabilities to store all that memory on there.
Right, and that is actually something I meant to jump into when we first started, is to really point out that anybody who's ever worked with Apple, or as you look at how people work with Apple, it takes a lot to actually work with them, to interface. So we created this with them, and it was a nice partnership. We created the CPU system that is allowing us, the iPad, to talk to the camera and vice versa. That's how we're able to get the communication between the two. So that's really the brain of everything that's happening here. And I mean, even when you want to look at the box, I'm tethered to audio here, so I don't want to screw that up. Even when looking at the box, you're going to see that it looks very similar to a lot of other iPad technology or iPad pieces that have come out. And this was made in the same factory as the iPad boxes that come in. So a lot of things we really had to work with Apple to make sure that it interfaces and it works properly. And we're taking something that's already in your kit. Most people already have an iPad. Matter of fact, we've got somebody up here on an iPad at the moment as well. So this is going to make your kit smaller, more compact, and give you more useful out of it. One of the features that I've liked on this and where I see this working as another part of an ecosystem is more and more clients are out there asking for, well, I want to set up a video or I want to set up a little video set in a small room. You know, they've got an office, they kicked one guy out, and now you have just a generic office space, and they want to put a stage in there. Or they want to just put up a little set. And they only want one person to operate it. And they want that person to be you or somebody else that's on camera. So this gives you the ability to, if I were to set the camera up here, tether my iPad over here with the digital director, I can be on camera, see what I'm doing, as horrible as it is to look at yourself on camera, make your adjustments, and then start recording from there. So this is giving people an opportunity, and you with your clients or even on your own, as more people are asking for content, you have the ability in your hands to create that content in an easier way without having, because now you don't have to buy a monitor and other pieces. It's, oh no, I've got it all right here. I can start creating content, getting it up online, streaming it, and doing all kinds of different stuff. Because it takes more than one person to do a video most of the time. We're helping bridge that gap.
The hardware, this interface, it's the first Apple certified interface and the only Apple certified interface on the market right now. So it's a long process to get that certification. We're the only ones that have it, and along with the certifying the app interface, the packaging, everything is certified by Apple. So it's going to work. You have that Manfrotto and the Apple name behind it. There's really a lot went into it. Another part about being part of Apple and having that the fact that it's an app. So this is version 1. So right now you're looking at version 1 up on the screen. Version 2 is coming, version 3 is coming. All you have to do is go into the App Store and download the latest update. So for example, we have some blank space here. Version 2, that blank space could go away, and there could be additional options here, additional features. There's going to be constant updates. So the good thing about these sessions are, if you have any suggestions or questions, we bring all of the questions back to R&D, and they try to develop those and put them into versions down the road.
What he's asking is if it permits you to shoot RAW, even though it's putting a JPEG onto the iPad.
Mm-hmm. So whatever you have your camera set, it's going to read it out. So right here, it's saying, and it's probably hard to see because it's grayed out, RAW plus JPEG. That is what's getting stored on your memory card. Even if you're just shooting RAW, it's still going to transfer and download a JPEG onto the iPad. So it's not going to have a RAW on here. It's just going to be a high-res JPEG.
And then those thumbnails that you were showing, that's being recorded on the iPad and on the camera too?
So these thumbnails it's basically just reading the camera roll. And here you have low-res JPEG. You can see right here where it has this share option. That means it's been downloaded onto the iPad already. So if I were to remove this iPad from here, you would still be able to see all these images with low-res JPEGs. Anything with that share icon, you can open up.
How low res is a low res JPEG?
Just as you're seeing right there.
So can I even fill a screen on an iPad?
No, it's just basically just a thumbnail until you open it.
So we're seeing the thumbnail of what's on the camera, and then once you open that, is that opening it from the camera or from the iPad?
It's downloaded within the app.
But I can see that full frame image on the iPad afterwards.
Yep. So you can zoom in as much as you want, edit.
The ability to download a high-res file to that, so if I wanted to go and start doing some of my editing
Correct.
on the iPad, I could do that.
Yep. So
There's two options, low and high.
Yep. So if you want high res for everything, you turn on what's called the autoplay, so you can see it in the lower left-hand corner. So now anytime I take a shot, it's going to automatically download a high-res JPEG, and it's going to pop up in a second here on the screen.
Yeah, but it's not going to you can't put a RAW file on the iPad?
No, not yet.
No, not as of yet. That's a lot of data that you're throwing on the iPad, and that's where, we don't want to fill it up too fast because then it slows down, or then you just start having issues. And as things develop, maybe that's a feature that we can see in the future, but also that means what is the iPad going to do in the future? We already have a 128 gig iPad. 256 is probably going to be next down the road, and it will continue growing. So as those storage options grow, so do our capabilities with what we can do.
And when I was talking about showing you the edits before, no matter what edits you make in here, it's only going to edit the images within the iPad. It's not going to transfer that back to the memory card. So your original RAW file is still going to stay RAW, whatever it is in the camera that you originally shot it as, and you're only going to adjust the images within the iPad.
She's asking if there are other storage options to back up what you're doing in the Digital Director app and from there. Yes, there probably is. Nothing that we interface with necessarily, and you would have to stop your session, remove the iPad, and plug something in, because the whole thing is put together and using the Thunderbolt connection that's on the iPad. So it's not that we're not able to share it right now, and we haven't developed anything for sharing. Maybe something down the road, that's something we can always look at. Now, my question to you is, are you asking that on a photo basis or on a video basis?
Well, much to everybody's chagrin, we're often trying to be able to go seamlessly back and forth, especially if we're streaming live. And so I'm a narrative filmmaker, but I'm always doing these live events with celebrities. And so I'm trying to get them to stand on one leg and do something creative, but at the same time, they want the Instagram, the still, and the tweet. So this is interesting because of the remote, but I'm just wondering how far we can push it.
Right now, we can definitely push this on the still photo side. So again, let me, for the people listening in, what you're asking is what can it do in terms of sharing and with video and photo, and how broadly it goes out from there. So
and saving it. So
and saving it.
And at how high of a quality, because the thumbnail is great, but maybe that's not Instagram worthy.
Right. I think what it saves in there as JPEG is definitely Instagram worthy. What you can do is send it to an FTP place and then have somebody else operating for any kind of social media and drawing the pictures from there. And that's from a photo side. Or it can even be sent via email. On the video side, there isn't going to be any sharing happening yet. Hopefully that is something that can come down the road. And again, there are other issues that come there. For video, there's no recording happening inside the iPad. If we were to record video in the iPad, as you well know, with a 64 gigabyte CF card or SD card, you're done very quickly. So we can't do that in the iPad. Maybe that is something that comes down the road, or interfacing with an external storage option, seeing as that much of the video world is moving that direction. And it has been something brought up by many different people about that. So thank you for bringing it up, and hopefully that is something we can see down the road. But as he mentioned, this is really our foray with Apple into their ecosystem and into an ecosystem of some type. He mentioned the gray space. We've got room to grow. We've also got room to grow when it comes to storage options, when it comes to all those other things. So definitely, yeah, keep giving us that feedback, and we would love to bring that up. So I know that that's important, and hopefully we'll see that soon. Okay, he asked what charges the iPad.
Yep, so right now I have this running on 4 AA batteries. That's going to give you about 8 to 10 hours of battery life. So, and I'll answer your question in this little spiel here. Here you see it's going to show all 3 battery life. So it's going to show your camera, the digital director, and the iPad. So if you're running low, or if you're shooting indoors, it also comes with AC power supply. So when you're plugged in, it's going to charge the iPad. It's going to power the digital director and charge the iPad at the same time. If you're not plugged in and it's running on the 4 AA batteries, it's not going to charge your iPad. It's just going to kill the batteries too fast. But you're going to get about 8 to 10 hours of battery life on the 4 AA batteries.
So to clarify, that's that life on the digital director alone, not on the iPad alone. So there are 3 battery systems that are being worked with. So what you're asking is, what's the lag time between the camera and the iPad? Yeah, and that's why we have it tethered. I don't know if we really pointed that out earlier, that this is a tethered system, and the reason we have it tethered is to prevent that lag as much as possible, because we know that's an issue. It's minuscule. It's there. How much there? Very, very minuscule. It's about on par with a TV Logic or a small HD or something that you're plugging in there. So even then, right now you're seeing a lag between the TV and the digital director. So we are right now streaming or Apple sharing on an Apple TV, and that's going to have a lag no matter what. We can't judge it based on this. So when you come up later, we can definitely show you, but the lag is very minimal. Jason, since I know you personally and we've worked together on stuff, it's going to be something you're very used to. It's going to be fine. Yeah. Yes.
What's the longest cable you can separate this from the camera with?
Do you
So
remember?
the longest cable is about 10 meters or 30 feet. So it comes with a standard 1 meter USB to mini USB. That's going to work your most Canon models. Nikon usually use a USB 3.0. When you purchase a Nikon, it usually comes with a standard 1 meter cable. But there are some other options. I usually use a 6 meter cable, no problem. But yeah, 10 meters from what I understand is the maximum without a booster.
USB cable?
Mm-hmm. Without a boost.
Yeah.
Which is perfect because this then gives you an opportunity to use it on a jib, up to 12 foot, if not even, actually more than a 12-foot jib, sliders. It has a lot of different applications because of that. So you don't have to worry about tethering being an issue. You're going to have it just
And with the boost, it's just as far as you can get it to go.
Are you asking
yeah.
with an electronic boost?
Yeah, you know, the active USB cables that
Yes,
let you
yeah.
extend.
We have not. So what you're asking is if we can use an active USB cable to boost the signal if we need to go further than the 30 meters. You said further than
10 meters.
10 meters. Sorry, further than 10 meters. It would definitely be something worth trying. We have not tested that yet, and that's outside of our necessary issue. Obviously, that becomes then the issue of the booster cable or the booster device itself. I don't see why it wouldn't work. Definitely worth testing. So you've put something on my list to test. Yeah. Follow Manfrotto tweets or follow Manfrotto_US, and we'll definitely answer that question. You're asking what can we change in the camera? Can we change f-stop, ISO, picture style? Yes, you can change most of those. Let's ask Tommy. He's spent more time with this. So what can it change?
So for now, the version 1, you have your ISO, shutter speed, f-stop. Right here is the manual focus option and focus peaking, white balance, and drive mode. Those are the key things you can adjust as of now.
So inside the box, you are getting the digital director, and
You're getting a digital director. It's the processor back here with the holder, USB cable, AC power supply, and different adapters. So since it's made in Europe, there's 4 different plugs. So the American one is in there, and then there's an Italian, I think.
so
Australian,
universal adapters for
there's
power.
a bunch of different powers.
Yes. And if you're not familiar with our friction arms, this is taking our larger friction arms that a lot of people use, the magic arm that they use for holding up the larger monitors. We've got now the same technology in a smaller version with the anti-grip piece. So as you can see here, you're not going to have an issue of this just twisting like you do have that issue with a monitor from time to time. There's a locking piece here. There's a locking piece that we have on our tripods as well. They work with some of the cheese plate grip handles that are out there, not all of them. But yeah, that is something that we have and that we definitely recommend. It's not going to move on you. It's going to stay strong and sturdy.
Is the software in the digital director on my iPad?
The software on the digital director is a free app to download.
Yeah.
When you
It's on the iPad?
Yes.
So if I had 4 iPads, I'd have to make sure I had it
Now,
loaded on all 4 iPads.
you would have to have the app on each iPad, and I know you have to register with a code that comes inside with each digital director. Are you able to engage more than one unit, or do you have to deauthorize something?
No, it's actually, you just download the app and plug it into any digital director, and it actually works. So,
But you have to download the app.
Yes.
yeah.
On the iPad.
Yeah.
So the hardware is in here. So that's the processor, and it's all the communications, the translating between iOS and the camera protocols, and then you just download the app onto different iPads. So, yeah, you can use it with multiple iPads. You're not restricted to. I have 2 iPads. I want to use the digital director on, this one today and this one tomorrow. You can do it. And also, the bracket isn't adjustable, but there's 6 screws in here. So if you have an Air and a Mini, down the road we're going to have the bracket as an accessory. So you just unscrew it and put the new bracket on there, so you don't have to go out and purchase a whole new digital director just because you have multiple iPads.
It works with pretty much all the newer models. So anything that came out in 2015, it's going to work with really well. It's going to be Nikon and Canon. And there is a chart in there that runs through all the different models that it works with. Right now, it's only Nikon and Canon.